Find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike today with my co-host Joe from the OC. Joey, how's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. It's been a long week. My in-laws are here, which is not why it's a long week. But I've had a bunch of other things going on, like meetings and other stuff. I don't think I've been home before 7 all week.
Really?
Just about, yeah. Which
where the in-laws staying?
Oh, they stay down. There's a pretty nice hotel that's just down the street. So
okay.
We crashed there. No pool though, which is odd. So we weren't able to take
Really?
advantage of the amenities,
Huh?
as it were. How are you?
It is
Surviving?
Yeah, no, I'm doing okay. Everything is just, I'm finally, all settled in, where I'm at. I don't really have any stuff to work on, and work is just hot. The weather is hot, the beer is cold.
Oh, there are worse things, I guess.
Yeah. So let's start it off. New watches. I don't have any new watches.
You don't? Wait.
No.
Oh, no, you don't.
I ordered something.
You did? Oh, we're not going to talk about that. No,
it's not here, and it's coming from quite a ways away. So it'll be interesting to see how long it takes.
Are you sure?
Yeah. The last new thing I got was that Black Dial Super Seville that we talked about last episode when Richard and Michael were here with us. That's the last new thing that I've got.
Okay.
I didn't get anything else new in. I have a couple of straps, custom-made straps, one of which should be here tomorrow. The other one has not made it stateside yet. But
it must be the straps that I'm thinking about. That's got to, yeah. Okay.
Maybe. So those were coming from Vietnam. One I had custom made for the Louis Erard. It was a Arabian spiny tail lizard strap.
Okay.
Which is yellow and black, and that's natural color. And it was made to, specific lengths and specifications, so that way I could retain the original buckle and made it to the length that I like. I hate straps that just have that extra length on the tail and they wrap all the way around. So I had it, a specific size made and that. So that's the one that hasn't made it stateside yet. I did order a red python strap
for that
to go on the Merlot Jetstar.
Oh,
that's the one that should be here tomorrow.
I'm curious. That should be good too. Okay.
Yeah, I forget what they called it. Like Black Merlot, I think was the actual color name for it. It looked pretty cool. It looks like it's going to do pretty well on it. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if it gets
but Kevin as far as watches, I got one.
Kevin O'Leary's seal of approval, then that's all right.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
So, what do you got? Anything new?
I do.
Do you? What?
I do. I have that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that came in.
Yeah. This is the Bulba 666, the 774 case. It is a chunky sucker, and it needs a service because it's missing the crown.
Yeah.
So it came with a crown, and I was working to set it, and the crown just unscrewed. So I screwed it back in and then tried to set it some more, but it unscrews the same way that you set the date, and so it came right off. And I've tried to get it back. It needs to go in.
You'll never get it to screw on with that stem in the movement. You have to remove that stem in order to tighten it down and all that. And in that particular movement should have a screw in lock. And if you don't do it just right, that screw, the lock itself undoes and it falls in. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So this one, I mean, it works. Can't set it, but it works. So the question is going to be like, what do I put it on? And we were talking like that sort of like a Cuban mesh.
That Cuban mesh, I
Yeah.
think.
That would be pretty good. I don't mind
Yeah.
this on canvas, to be absolutely honest. Doesn't
Really?
bother me, but it needs to be like a 2-piece. So we'll see. I'll play around with it.
Yeah, you sent a couple of different options.
Yeah.
Eh,
Like a
what did
tropic,
it?
a tropic would be all right. I don't remember what it's supposed to be on. There's you can see there are
I think it's supposed to be on Tropic because we couldn't find that in the line books.
no, but you see there is a fitted bracelet and it's a fitted end lug and it's a straight lug, you know. So it's got this flat lug, but it's a folded end on almost like a presidential style that goes on.
Yeah.
It's sort of a big chunky bracelet. So this,
But-
this looks good on that kind of bracelet too, on a steel. It looks pretty good there
Yeah.
too. All right.
But we couldn't find it in the line books, but
No.
we did find some sort of a foreign advertisement that had
Yeah.
it in there, and that was on
you
the
still
Tropic.
there's no designation for what it is. Everybody seems to call it the 774 just because
I've always called it the snorkel because it's
it is. I mean, that's what the designation's on the dial, but it's a 774 case because there's a couple other snorkels, so it's hard to to differentiate that. And speaking of other snorkels, I got the snorkel K.
Oh, you got a good haul.
I did all right.
The snorkel K.
Snorkel K. So this is one of the first divers that Bulova did. As in the 666 lines, got a bakelite bezel, just with the ordinals 15, 30, and 45. It's got not exactly Mercedes hands, but it's the same shape as like a Mercedes, but it's filled in completely. It's all loom. And this looks to be like a new old stock handset because it doesn't quite match the dial in terms of what the coloration is.
Well, those you told me were supposed to be black.
Yeah, and so they should be
silver.
black on the silver dial. So this is like a new old stock handset for the J, which is the black dial.
Yeah,
which I'm also looking for. So that's what I got. I am in honor of Michael's visit last week. I am drinking a Sauvignon Blanc, but it is not from New York. It is from California. As am I.
Are you? I wasn't sure.
And I am also wearing the Accutron VX200.
Oh, yeah.
That ETA dive watch with the
your
really cool
13 link bracelet watch.
Yeah, and it's a deep blue dial with just 2 pops of orange on it. It's great. It's really, really great. It scratches that functional dive watch itch. You know.
Do you like that style? Because that's very Orient Ray.
Kind of. I like this
design.
Watch. I do like this watch. I mean, there's a slope to the bezel that I find appealing. It's great to look at. The color, it's a deep blue. It's like a midnight blue. So depending upon the light, you got it looking black. You got it looking some other way. I like it. I'm a fan.
I don't have any new watches. I am wearing my Louis Gerard Allen Zieberstein regulator watch. This is there's a reason why I'm wearing this watch. It kind of goes along with today's topic. This was a GPHG 2020 nominated watch. So that'll come into play in just a little bit here. I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking a craft. So my buddy at work, him and I live far enough apart where we don't share the same local hotspots. And he has a microbrewery near him. This is from Grove Roots Brewery in Winter Haven, Florida. This is called Rind and Shine, which is citrus wit beer. This is one of their flagship brews. This is done with tangerine and not orange, which a typical citrus would be done with. But it's fantastic. It's light. It goes down easy. It's refreshing. It's a great summer beer.
All right. Okay, but hang on a second, because it's called Rind Wit Beer.
Rind and Shine, citrus wit beer.
Citrus wit beer. So you being from Chicago, to me, that immediately sounds like if you want a cheesesteak wit or a cheesesteak without. So it's citrus wit beer.
Okay.
Right? So is it more citrus or is it more beer? Because what's it wit?
It's wit, the nitwit. that I have
that was
sitting
that
across
was
from
funny.
me.
That's pure gold. That's gold right there.
Is it?
Those, oh yeah, these are the moments where I have to stop my whole rehearsal and tell my students, like, you don't understand. That was really funny. You need to acknowledge my dad joke here.
Dun, 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 dun.
At which point, you get the class is like, oh yeah, it was really funny. It was really funny.
They just do it to appease you.
They do.
So I came up with an idea, something a little different. We're going to talk GPHG watches, specifically the GPHG 2024 watches. When I acquired this watch, it's very special for a lot of different reasons. It's the first collaboration between Alan Zieberstein and Louis Erard. It's a very limited production watch. It's one of 178, and it was a GPHG nominated watch. It wasn't the winner of its category, but it was nominated, and we'll get into why the nomination is a little important to the history of this watch. So basically, GPHG stands for Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Geneva. And what it is an organization that recognizes and promotes contemporary watchmaking through awards. And a lot of people have dubbed it the Oscars of the watch industry. So basically, one night towards the end of the year, which in this case is November 13th of this year, it's a whole award ceremony, and it's all revolved around watches. And not necessarily high horology watches. It's just watches in general. There's 15, I believe, different categories that a watch can enter in depending on the requirements that it meets. And there's categories for everything. Ladies watches, tourbillon watches, jewelry watches, there's a challenge category,
complications. There's a lot of you can
time
watch.
only.
Well, the part that gets interesting, you have a watch that might fill a couple of those spots, but you've got to pick one. Do you know about the entry process?
A manufacturer can opt to enter a watch in for competition, or the academy. The GPHG Academy can invite a watch to compete. So let's just say, they wanted Rolex. Rolex didn't enter anything.
Rolex has never entered anything.
Well, but I'm just throwing this out there just for ease of explaining it. But they can go to them and say, hey, you came out with this watch. We feel that it's worthy of competing. Are you interested in entering in the competition? Now, the brand it has to choose whether or not they want to enter in the watch. Just because they're invited doesn't mean that they have to.
And there's also an entry fee. So there is an entry fee. It's kind of a pay to play thing, which there's a criticism of the GPHG with that specifically is, okay, you have to pay to enter your watch, which then so out of all the entries, there is then a jury, and it's all of the members, and the members all select the watches that go in, and then there's another panel that votes for what they're going to be. But they do it. It's a process that's done in person, which makes it a little bit more interesting because the watches are sent. You go and you see them, you handle them, you get to fiddle with them, you get to look at them, and it goes back to this thing that we've talked about all the time, which is you can't really choose a watch until you've handled it, till you've held it, till you've seen it, because there may be something that you didn't think that you would like and that on paper does not meet your criteria, but suddenly in the metal, which people hate for some reason, but when you see it in person, change your mind completely. That watch that you've got is one of those for me. Would not have appealed to me in the slightest, wasn't interested in it at all. You got it. I've seen it. I've put it on, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's still not something that I would necessarily wear or want, but I understand it. I understand why you like it, and I understand the appeal for it. And I can also say unequivocally that it is not for me, but I know that because I had it in my hot little hand.
And unequivocally, it wasn't for the jury either, because it didn't win an award, but it was nominated. So as far as selection goes, a jury of 30 members from the academy, and there's far more than 30 members in the academy, and there is a selection process. Um, you can go online and see the entire list of everybody that is part of the academy, but they don't publish the jury list until
Right.
is it late August, I think?
Yeah, something like that. Like we know
Something like
who
that.
some of the people are because they
So
publicized their voting, but not what they voted for, but that they did vote.
yeah. So what they do is they go through a first round of voting, and everything that has been submitted, they go through and they select 6 watches from each category, and they rank it, from their top choice 1 through 6, and they come up with 90 watches. Those 90 watches is what continues to the second round of voting, and those are the 90 watches that are considered the nominated timepieces. So what makes this one a little more special, at least to me, is that this made it through the first round of voting.
Yeah.
And was part of that 90 watch overall selection.
No, it's an excellent watch. I'm not poo-pooing the watch at all. And I don't discount
and
it.
I'm not trying to explain to you why you should like it because it's important, but that's just why I like it. That's just one more thing that just adds to what I feel the value is, and what it brings to me, and the joy that it gives, and that kind of stuff. So the 90 watches do, prior to selecting the winners, go on tour. They go to different venues around the world, and they're on display for the public to view them, like you're saying. On paper, things are different than in person, and you get the chance to see them in person if you are
not necessarily to handle them, however.
Not handle them. Yeah, no.
They are on display.
You can at least see the 3D version of it,
right?
If you're in attendance of one of these events, or they don't make many stops, but they do go to different places around the world. So
I don't know if they come to I don't know if they come to Miami, but they did come to LA, and they've been in LA a couple of times, and I haven't had the chance to go. It's always been on a weird weekend when I'm not able to make it. And same thing for Only Watch. Only Watch will do the same, and they make that pilgrimage around too.
The one thing that I found was interesting was Only Watches commercialized after, and for this year, it's May 2023, and through the end of October of 24 are eligible to compete. So they have to be commercialized within a certain time frame in order for them to be eligible to compete.
But when you look at what the timeline is, right, it's a little bit over a year.
It's a little more than a year, yeah.
Right, which is I also think that's a really interesting thing, because May, June, July, August, September, October, you got like an extra 5 months in there for the year, just to give like something that may be commercialized, but it wasn't. The advertising didn't come out. The rollout wasn't quite complete, even though the watch was advertised earlier. So it gives you kind of a 5-month grace period to get yourself ready to go. And I think that's a generous idea, and it's a good one, rather than trying to keep it within, say, a calendar year or a 12-month period.
Yeah. So that's kind of the basis of what it is. Grand Prix, Duology, the Geneva, you have a jury of 30 people who are voting. They narrow it down, 90 watches. Those are the nominated pieces. Watches go on tour. They pick from those watches, and they present awards. So Joe and I thought it'd be kind of fun. We each picked a category. We did not tell each other what our choices are. So we're going to hear them for the first time when we announce them right here on the show. But we're just going to explain why we chose that piece. And we very well could have chosen the same piece in each category. So we'll go with yours first. What category did you choose? And then explain what that category is.
Okay, so I chose iconic, and the iconic line and the definition for them is watches stemming from an emblematic collection or material that has been exercising a lasting influence on watchmaking history and the watch market for more than 20 years, or offering a contemporary reinterpretation. And so when you're thinking about iconic watches of any brand, you're thinking about the Submariner, you're thinking about the Royal Oak, you're thinking about the Reverso, you're thinking about the G-Shock, you're thinking about, there's all of these options, and it's really kind of like, the greatest hits of any brand. And it's, have we done a reedition of it? Have we done a reinterpretation of it? Have we done something new and interesting with it? And so, you know, into this, you've got Breitling Navitimer Chronograph 41, the Creedor Locomotive, Gucci G Flat, Houchulence, the Hublot Fusion Original Yellow Gold in 29. You've got a IWC Big Pilot Tourbillon, the Tambor by Louis Vuitton, the Piaget Polo 79, Tag Heuer Kith collaboration, and then the Uwerk 102 Reloaded. And so in that vein, and I, you know, there's watches in there, because we were looking through it, and I took a look and tried to pick what I wanted to do. And this is a category that I think there's a little bit more opinion, and everybody's going to have an opinion about these, because there's watches there that you like and there's watches there that you don't like, and there's probably reasons for that. And
I think the opinion is based probably less on design and movement and more on the importance of the watch on the watch industry and in history in general.
I think like the emotion of the watch definitely plays a role.
Yeah.
But when I pull this up, and to be absolutely honest, like the reason that I chose this category was the Hublot.
Really?
And yes, really. I've actually done research on this watch as it sits, and that watch, I think I like it. I think I like a Hublot. It's hard to say that out loud, but I think that's kind of thing. Like the Creedor is
is this stemming from your recent acquisition of a extremely large Invicta?
No, this is pre Hydromax.
Hublot and Invicta share a lot of the same styling cues.
They do. Invicta is a cheeseburger with peanut butter on it.
Okay.
Hublot is fried chicken with caviar.
Okay.
All right. So like in this category, you got stuff that's really interesting. Like the Gucci watch is interesting, but it's a little bit more derivative. And to me, it's more like a Bell and Ross and any of the other sort of square designs. The Creedor Locomotive is a Genta design, and it's got a lot of the Genta design cues. But for me, the way that the bracelet attaches into the lugs, because you've got this hexagonal shape to the case, but then the bracelet sticks out, and to me there's not an appealing way. Like the Houchulence, I know, is a fantastic bit of horology, but that TV style case just doesn't work for me. The Vuitton Tambor, no. The Piaget Polo, I like the not this polo. I like the more Nautilus shaped polo, actually. And if I were to choose between Royal Oak, Nautilus, and that polo, I would choose that polo over this one. Like the IWC, the Tourbillon for a big pilot just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one either.
Like the Breitling, I like the Breitling, but I don't like the colors. To me, a Breitling shouldn't be in any kind of yellow metal at all.
Okay, so explain to me why the Hublot is iconic to you. Why does it strike that chord with you? I'm very interested about this because I did not see you picking this one at all.
Well, no, that's not my pick.
That's not your pick.
That's not my pick. That's the reason I picked the category.
Okay.
Right, because of that Hublot. And I like that watch. I like the design cues of it. I like the shape of it. I like the size. I'm okay with the yellow, gold, and black colorway. I think it's a really well done design. I like it a lot. But
okay, I thought that was your pick. Oh,
no, that's not my pick.
Square one. All right.
Oh no. We're way back. My pick came down, and it was a toss up between the Uwerk 102 Reloaded and the Kith, the Tag Heuer Kith.
Okay.
And so
why the Uwerk? Explain your reasoning for that one.
So you and I go back and forth about watches as art. And I know that you like the satellite wandering hours complication.
I do.
And U-Work does that very, very well. But this one is one of their earlier iterations, and it is a reinterpretation of one of their earlier iterations. It is grown though, and it's gone from like I think 38 or 39 up to 41. They're doing it in two colorways. They've got a black coated case, and then they've got the one that they submitted, which is more titanium. And it's a sort of like a register hours hand that goes around the top of the dial, and then the next one floats in. And so it's a fantastically done complication. It's 41. That took it right out for me. And so my pick is the Kith. It's the Tag Heuer Kith collab. I think that's the most iconic watch in this collection. It's the one that everybody has been arguing and yelling for Heuer to reissue, to do something new with it. They did it as a Kith collab, and limited edition pieces, limited edition colorways, they're all sold out. It's a fantastic looking watch. And I can say that it's a fantastic looking watch, and I know you agree with me because we both have a Caravelle version of that same watch.
Yeah.
Right. So as a design cue, it's been pretty well copied. And then when I was in Florida, we went to the Citizen shop, and one of the sales guys there had, what was it? It was
it was the Gruen version.
Right.
Which is identical to what the Caravelle is, just in Gruen. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, this watch has been pretty well copied. And to me, if you want to talk about iconic, there you go.
I will definitely say that this collaboration has absolutely stirred up the emotions of this watch, for better or for worse. Here was my thought process with this category. Of these, what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 watches.
It's a smaller category too, which I thought was really interesting.
It is a smaller category. I feel there's 3 truly iconic watches in this category.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
For you?
For me.
Is it the Piaget?
That is one of them.
Okay. Would you say it's the Breitling, or was it the Creedor?
The Navitimer is another.
Okay. And then, what would be third? Is it the U-Work?
It is not the U-Work.
What's your third?
The Formula One.
Okay.
Those are in my eyes, the 3 truly iconic watches in this category.
Yes. I don't disagree with you at all on that. You could make an argument that the Hublot counts. As an iconic design, it's one of the original designs that they came out as one of the first versions of it.
But here, and I'll explain to you why that one doesn't work for me.
Go for it. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. I'm fascinated.
If you take the Breitling, the Piaget, and the Tag Heuer, and you remove all branding from the dials, and you set them on a table,
right?
And you take the Hublot, and you remove the branding, and you set that on a table, you got all 4 side by side, no branding. You know which one is the Tag Heuer Formula One. You know which one is the Piaget. You know which one is the Breitling. If you look at that Hublot, you're not entirely sure who made that watch.
Now, okay, I will argue that with you, because I think that Hublot has a solid design language, and I don't believe that they've received enough credit for that. Like the Hublot haters, and I get it, that there is a level of shouty that goes with a lot of their modern releases, a lot of their newer releases, and you've got all of the different case materials, and you've got like with the 8-day power reserve and all of the other things that go with it. And there's some pretty gaudy watches that they do, but I would argue that if you're talking to people who know watches and you throw the Hublot on there, but I think I can see where you're coming from, because that is a deeper cut.
See, my point of view is when you look at Hublot, you expect a certain amount of design language to come from them. You expect it to be bold. You expect it to be crass. You expect it to be in your face with their design language.
Right.
There's a reason why they're labeled the Invicta of the Swiss watch world. They share a lot of that, and not that they share it with Invicta. Invicta copies a lot of it from them.
But can we go back to the moment that this is a 29 millimeter watch? I just want to throw that out there. Let's make sure that everybody understands this is not a giant piece.
And I'm not saying that it's because of the
Okay.
size of it, but
Okay.
the design language as a whole. It, if you
I
put this on the table with the three other watches that I mentioned, I could not tell you definitively that that was an Hublot. Whereas
okay.
the other
Okay.
three, I can tell
I
you
will not.
definitively what they were.
I will disagree with you a little bit on that, but I see your point. Okay. So for
Okay.
you, Breitling,
Yep.
Piaget, Tag Heuer.
And Tag Heuer.
Okay. I
Now,
agree with those choices, by the way.
Breitling, as good of a design as it is, just fell short.
From
So
a
it
color
comes down
standpoint, or what? What is it that threw you off?
from what standpoint?
Color?
No, not the color, because the Navitimer comes in a variety of different colorways, right? It- I think as a whole, this watch hasn't inspired much within the watch industry. It's a good watch for what it is. It's a fantastic pilot's watch, but I don't think the design is as inspiring as
Okay.
it could be.
We're going to put a pin in that. Go on.
Okay. It comes down to the Piaget and the Tag Heuer for me. As much as I would love to pick the Formula One as my choice for the iconic category, I cannot do that because the way they decided to bring the watch back in the collaboration that they did, I think they ruined the purity of what the watch is and was and what it represented for the watch industry. Now, that said, I fully understand that the Tag Heuer Formula One Series 1 was the first watch to display the new Tag Heuer logo. While that is not necessarily a collaboration because it was a change of ownership, it was the watch that paved the way for the new Tag Heuer marquee. The Formula One is is the first quartz watch for the brand. It's really the watch that saved the brand from the quartz crisis. It pulled them through a very tough time in the early 90s. It has inspired a lot of design moving forward in the watch industry. It is a watch that carries a lot of history with it. And with no branding on the dial, you know exactly what it is, you know exactly what it stands for, and you know exactly who it's from. It's a fantastic watch, but because the way that they decided to bring it back, it just, as much as I want to love it, it left such a sour taste in my mouth. So my pick is the Piaget Polo 79. I believe that that is the purest form of a reinterpretation of this category. I think the Piaget Polo, as crazy of a design as it is, and it is very much a 80s period design, has inspired a lot of other 80s watches to kind of follow that design language. And because they came out with this tribute version, right? This is a 150th anniversary watch. They did it in such a pure form and they stuck true to what the original was. And because of that, I feel like this one deserves to win that category because it's iconic from its period. Moving forward, it's inspired that design, and in its reinterpretation, they kept original to what it was. They didn't dilute it with a collaboration.
Co-branding. Okay. And
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. I understand why you're saying it. And the only quibble I have with that
Mhm.
is if you think about Breitling,
Mhm.
nobody does Breitling better than Breitling. to the point that nobody's even trying to do Breitling better than Breitling. The tag there's copies of, the polo there's also copies of, but Breitling you don't see a lot of homage watches, and so like I would throw Breitling a little bit higher, but I also understand why you would choose. I think we're in pretty solid agreement. I don't disagree that the Piaget is an iconic classic without question. I would have chosen the U-work over that, but.
And I wouldn't have chosen the Urwerk at all. I don't feel like that's an iconic piece in any sort of way. It's a very Urwerk piece, and it's great for what it is. But again, if you took the branding off of it, couldn't tell you what it was.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
So that's where I'm at with that. So that I will say that one was a tough category to go through because
there's a lot of really good stuff there.
My heart wanted to go to that Formula One so bad. I am a former Formula One owner. I had a 4th generation Formula One, time only. It was a fantastic watch, and I would love to get a Series 1 in the collection.
Sure.
And I'm just, Tag Heuer was my first luxury watch, and it has such a spot in my heart. And it hurt not to pick that one as my choice.
Well, okay, but now if we're being honest, it is not the watch that bothers you, it's the kith that bothers you. If that watch came out and it said Tag Heuer on it, you would have been in line, right?
I probably would have, yeah.
Okay. And so to me, that immediately makes it way further up because they chose kith. And I'm certain that they chose kith partially for the amount of press that they would get, particularly from you, the watch idiot savant, who will be, I'm going to trash this watch because it says kith on the dial and not blah, 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 blah. And still, they all freaking sold out. And our friend, Watch Viking, would have gotten one of those in a heartbeat if they were available at the kith pop-up that he and his girlfriend visited in LA when they came out last summer.
And I'm not saying that I'm trashing the watch because I'm really not. I'm not. And I think it's fantastic that they decided to bring them out again. The problem that I have is they took away the purity of the watch. And they disagree it as a money grab, right? I don't know how else to describe it.
I don't think that you can call it a money grab, and I disagree on your purity.
I think that you could, because they picked a brand that they knew was going to get the press, and they knew that they were all going to sell out right away like that. Right.
And they didn't necessarily bump the price. They could have gone higher, and those are trading secondary for a lot more.
Well, I think that it was for $1,500 or whatever.
I think that it was a brilliant marketing campaign, and when they come out with the Tag Heuer branded version of that next year, water under the bridge, and nobody's going to mind.
You think they're going to come out with a Tag Heuer version?
How could you not? If you've already done the scale up on production, you've got the molds, you've got everything else. You're ready to go. And all you have to do is change lettering on the stamp. Come on.
They should have done that.
And they will literally be printing money.
They should have done that first.
Nope.
Done the collaboration second. Nope. I would have been okay with that.
No.
But to reintroduce it the way that they did, I can't do it.
If you did the tag first, the purists would have bought it and there would have been nothing left. If you do the kith first, the purists are going to hold back. And now you've already got the advertising from the kith version. People know that it's out there and they're waiting. You've already whet the appetite, and then they show that up, and then all the purists come in. Oh, no, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant marketing strategy. Absolutely brilliant. Moving on.
We'll see how it plays out. So moving on. My category. There are so many other categories.
Shut up!
That
get
I wanted
into
to
it.
choose from.
Don't lead into it. No, you've been talking too much anyway. Come on.
Stop. Now, be honest. Did you expect me to pick the category that I did, or did you expect me to go in a different direction?
You are absolutely going right here, because watches are
really
art
think
for
so?
you. Yes, that's why I went classic, because I know that they work.
You didn't see me going into a tourbillon or
no.
You really?
No.
Wow. Okay.
You're all about the artistry of the watch and the emotion that it brings out. And look at the scale that they did it on. If they would have changed it to millimeter, the whole watch would be ruined. This
Oh,
is you.
brother. Anyways, Joe,
Uh-huh.
I chose the artistic crafts category.
Okay.
The artistic crafts category is watches demonstrating exceptional mastery of one or several techniques, such as, but not limited to, enameling, lacquering, engraving, guilloche, skeleton working, etc. 18 watches in this category. Do you really want me to go down the list of all 18 of
No,
them?
you know, I don't think you need to go down them. I think you can talk about highlights. If anybody really wants to look at them, you can. The watches are all absolutely stunning. I'm not gonna argue with these as pieces of art without question. I think that they're fantastic. But
So a lot of these watches highlight hand engraving, lacquering, jewels and gemstones, things like that. There is one watch in here that I found very curious in its placement, and that is at the very top of the list, the Anderson Geneva, the Jumping Hours Black Jade Stone. A very, very simplistic design.
massively. So it's a digital hour, and it's a essentially is where the small seconds would be. Looks like that's the minutes.
I believe that that's the minutes at the
That's
bottom,
my
at the six
interpretation of it.
o'clock. Yep. And it's just a jumping hour at the top, and it's just black. Think of a jumping hour Movado museum. That's basically what this is.
Uh-huh. It's very close to the minute track. It's the size of a small seconds, and it's done in gold on a solid black dial, and it's a matte jade. So it's not like a high polish. It's not like an obsidian. It's not really reflective. Okay, go on.
So I found that one very interesting. I'm just going to get right into what my pick is. I picked the Louis Vuitton, the Escale Cabinet of Wonders Snake Jungle.
Really?
Yes, for a couple different reasons. Um, this is a limited production watch, as you would expect something like this to be. They made, and I'm surprised there's 20 pieces of this. I thought there would have been a lot less, given what is involved to make this particular watch and the design, the dial in particular. It doesn't tell you how many hours it takes to craft each individual timepiece. However, there are three different people involved in the making of this watch. You have somebody that's doing all the woodwork. So all the bamboo that you see is all
Well, hang on.
individual.
Talk about what that is, because when you look at the dial, you've got it's a snake, and it's a snake that's
So
in three colors, and then you've got the snake
it's
that's in
basically
right.
a jungle scene.
Yeah,
You have a bamboo background. You have a snake in enamel. You have some, I guess what you would call
bamboo leaves.
bamboo leaves. Yeah.
There we go.
Um,
And then you have a basic sort of a spear handset that's
yep.
really well beveled.
Yes.
So it's got a traditional way to tell time only, no seconds hand, with this
Mhm.
snake in the background. And it's a beautiful watch. But why? Okay, go talk more, because I disagree with you.
The one thing that jumped out about this watch in comparison to the others, when you're looking at two-dimensional pictures, it's hard to get a three-dimensional view of what the watch looks like. This is the only one that jumped out to me in a three-dimensional way. This is done so well that you can look at a two-dimensional picture and see the depth in this watch. And none of the other ones gave me that impression. When you
Okay.
dig in further into what goes into this watch, all the woodworking, the bamboo, not the actual leaves itself, but the bamboo, the background, the basis of this dial consists of 367 individual pieces of wood. 4 different varieties of wood, all cut and hand seamed and assembled on that dial.
In terms, okay, so in terms of production, in terms of creation, I don't disagree that watch is an example of a tour de force of construction. I don't disagree with that in the slightest. I think that, and as a choice, that's a pretty good one. Why would you choose that over the Bulgari? Because if I'm looking at creation of a watch that is stunning in terms of complication, like Bulgari is definitely up there and at least as difficult to create as that Louis Vuitton.
Looking at the watch, looking at this picture of the watch.
Right. Yeah, I can't tell the time either.
Thank you.
Right.
There's problem number 1.
Okay.
It's very easy to bedazzle a watch case with as many gemstones as you can find and call it done, which I feel is what is going on here. There's the entire
now give me a second. Go to the third picture.
No, I'm looking at it when it's open, and I still get the same feel of it.
Okay.
Everything is covered in diamonds and gemstones and jewels and this and that, and it leaves very little room to showcase the actual artistry that goes into making the watch. I'm not saying that it's not there and that it doesn't take something to create this, but there's too much shoutiness. There's too much blinginess to it. There's not enough heart and soul in this watch. It's not as warm.
Okay.
As the Louis Vuitton, right? Does that make sense?
I know. I don't disagree with you, but I think that if you're looking, if you want to talk about this watch in terms of construction and in terms of hours and effort, I think that the Bulgari is definitely in that same space, and I think you could probably make the same argument for the Hermes.
You can make the same argument for a lot of these because a lot of these require artisan craftsmen to be proficient.
It's going to be like one man, one watch almost. Like and the Vuitton, it's an interesting.
Yes and no.
Well, the Vuitton is three. It's three different craftsmen, 3 different artisans.
It's 3 different craftsmen because they're each proficient in their own area of what they're doing in their involvement and their contribution to making this watch.
Right.
And I think it's fantastic that you can get 3 different people, 3 different perspectives, and it all comes together so beautifully in the final piece.
I don't disagree with you that is an excellent watch. I don't disagree with that at all.
When you look at the back of the watch, it's hardly any color. The only color you get is the gold micro rotor, but the engraving that's involved and the turning underneath the micro rotor. I mean,
no, I'm not disagreeing that it's a well done watch. And there's also this aspect that Louis Vuitton as a brand, and there's been a lot of press on them because they were heavily involved in the Paris Olympics. And they have gone out of their way, instead of to try to centralize manufacture, they've actually spread out manufacture. And so they do things in-house, but they have a bunch of different houses. And this particular place is going to specialize in this. This other place is going to specialize in that. And we're going to specialize in this other thing over here. And they do this whole process for journeymen, and they bring in apprentices to learn the craft and to learn the craft well within that particular atelier. And I respect Louis Vuitton for that, and I don't disagree with you that that's an exceptional watch. That is not my pick.
Well, and that's fine. But I'm going to point out one more thing.
Go on.
The last thing that I noticed, which I think is very cool compared to all the other entrants in this category, is look at the strap, the braided leather strap.
It's cool. It's really cool. And it's not that way on the underside. Yeah.
It's not. I think is just the perfect final touch that just pulls the whole thing together around your wrist, ties it into the dial. I think it's fantastic. I absolutely love the way this thing looks.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think that it's a poor choice.
40 millimeter,
excellently made watch.
Yep. It sells for, if you're interested in buying one, if you can even buy it still,
if you can.
259,000 Swiss francs.
Yeah, it's not a cheap
do the
little
conversion.
cheap little bit of nothing there. So, but for me,
So
actually,
I'm curious to see where your eye lies. What did you go with?
okay, and so Mike and I have a slightly different take on what makes an excellent watch.
We have a slightly different take on everything,
Pretty much.
which
But
makes this work.
it does, and it makes it a little bit more fun. Like I think that the Garrick is really interesting, but it's a little bit so classic. I think that the Noyoda Hida and Co. is also really excellent. The RGM I like just from a dial design, but as in terms of artistry, I don't think that it hits all the same places. The Vanguard I also like. I like that actually a lot, except
Really?
I can't figure out how to tell the damn time.
I liked that one the least. I thought that
Did you?
was the busiest,
Oh well, I don't disagree with
worst
you at all.
design of all of
It's
them.
but I think it's really interesting. It's asymmetric. It's a different kind of shape. It's a different kind of like almost a Millennium Falcon sort of look. Like it's appealing to the Star Wars nerd in me. But
Yeah, I
if
get that.
I'm absolutely honest, the watch that I would have chosen would have been the Anderson Geneve. That is
Which one?
Anderson Geneve, the first one.
Oh,
That
really?
with that black jade stone dial. That would have been because it from a minimalist stark standpoint. And if you're looking at letting the material shine, that's it. Because it's all about the stone. It's all about the dial. The dial has to be done flawlessly in order for that watch to work. If there's an error in the dial, that watch is useless. And that stone has to be just perfect. And that means that you are drawn to the minutia. You're drawn to the minute track. You're drawn to the design of the hour window. You're drawn to the font of the jump hour. And then you get past and you start looking at the case shape and the way that the lugs are applied, and then that gold crown. To me, that watch, like you could even lose the Anderson at the top of it, and it would still work and work incredibly well. I love that watch. I think that watch is great.
All right. Want my hot take? I'm not going to disagree with you in one bit. I won't disagree with you.
It's not bad.
It's a great watch. I really do like it. I think it's an oddity in this category.
I don't think that it should. I don't think that it should be there.
I don't think that it should be there either.
But if you start to recognize the fact that it was chosen for this category, and we again we don't know why it was put there, if they submitted it or if they were asked to submit, right? Because that's the option. Which means that watch has gone into this category for a reason, and the reason I think is just the way that it comes across and the subtlety of it.
And I agree with everything you're saying. The way that it's done is fantastic. I mean, the dial truly does look flawless. I like the different finishing on the case and how they decided to break it up.
It's a 38 millimeter watch too, so like it's going to wear bigger than you think it does because there's almost no bezel. I
even like, and I'm not a two-tone person. I love the pink gold and the or not the stainless, but against the silver tone.
Right.
I think it's fantastic. However, it's not an artisan watch. And for that reason, I really think it doesn't belong there.
Let's be precise and say it is a platinum case. Just throwing that out there for you. Okay.
That doesn't make it an artisan piece. It's not a hand-cut platinum case. Somebody didn't file these down by hand.
It fucking might be. All right.
Okay. That's my hot take on it. I mean, I agree with you completely. It's a phenomenal watch. I just think it's better suited in a different category.
I don't understand.
And if it was,
well,
my
only argument to that is the reason that it is there because it has to be that exceptional because it didn't fit anyplace else. So the fact that it's included in that category speaks to the exceptionality of that watch. And I'm willing to bet
done fantastic in the complication category.
It could have, but I'm willing to bet that if you see it in person, you would look at me like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But I don't know. I haven't seen it in person. Neither of you.
We'll see if this advances.
Correct.
To the actual nominated.
I bet it doesn't. All right.
I bet it doesn't either.
So challenge is the last one. And how?
So
Okay,
this is
do this. How many watches are in the challenge category?
a lot.
A
Okay,
lot.
you tell us what the challenge category consists of. I'll count them here.
You're going to count. Okay, so challenge is solely based on design. Challenge watches with a retail price equal or under Swiss franc 3,000. Smartwatches are admissible. And so it's all about how the watch is put together. What are the design cues? How original is it? What have they done with something? And to make it kind of unique and make it maybe fun is the wrong term for it, but it's not a bad descriptor.
You know what? I think fun is a good way to describe this category. And there's 37 watches, by the way.
Okay, and so when we're talking about this, is like Seiko is there, Studio Underdog is there, Out of Order is there, Nomos is there, Oris is there, Messina Labs is there, Louis Rod is also there, Ferlin Mari is there, Frederic Constant, Dumreau, Seymour, Christopher Ward, Bremont.
It's a category. Let's call this the quote unquote accessible category, right?
Right. Yes.
Because I feel that these are the most accessible watches of all the categories. I mean, they have a time only category, but there's some very high end pieces in that time only category. Because this one has that price point cap, you get a lot of different variety in here. And it's a lot of the brands that are just trying to create the best of what they can at that price point. So if we're picking solely on design and design alone, just by looking at the pictures of the watch, because this was kind of a last minute surprise pop-up category for us.
Mike didn't tell me this was coming.
Yeah, no, I didn't tell you it was coming because I wanted to pick the challenge category, and then you told me, well, it's between this and that, and well, I'm going to go with the iconic. So it was a category that we both looked at.
We both liked, right?
So I thought it would be fun for a quick, just by looking at the photos and the way that they're designed, solely on looks alone. What would you go with?
Me?
Yes.
For me, it is a solid toss up between the Anoma A1 first series and the Dumreau Hong Kong edition. It's between those two. And I think I would lean more towards the Dumreau because they're Huntington Beach local.
I don't see that as your color, but I see that as your style.
Dumreau?
Yeah.
Yeah, that red is not my color. No, it is not. But
yeah,
I don't dislike that watch at all. What's your take?
So mine was a toss up between the Adiac Core, because I love a tourbillon, and this is a central tourbillon. It is, I will give you, a little difficult to tell the time on.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fantastic design in the way that they laid everything out. But surprisingly, the winner for me is the Christopher Ward Moon Phase.
Really?
Now, I am not a moon phase person.
Okay.
However, the way that they did this galaxy dial, it's hides that moon phase window so well.
It's
that
very
all
good.
You see is the moon, and it's such a large moon.
Okay, so the question
is fantastic.
The question I have is does the moon itself actually move, or is it on this dial? And so they've got two different moons at different, and so that the background which matches the dial. So like in any kind of moon phase, right? You have the moon, and the moon moves through an aperture at the top of the dial, typically, which means that the moon is on a separate disc. So is that disc color the same as the dial, or is the moon separate from that and it's just a little background that's
I believe the whole thing is a disc.
I would imagine that it does. I would imagine that, and it's like his elegant hands. I don't dislike it. But can we have a discussion? The Seymour, the 711 Heritage chronograph. Yeah.
I do like the asymmetrical funkiness of it.
Yes, you do. But okay, can I hasten to guess that if this had a solid dial color, that you would have gravitated more towards that rather than the?
No, I like the multicolor usage of it.
In the like the fume of the dial, really?
That to me kind of seems like it's a sunburst dial, and what appears to be fume is just a shadow of the actual sunburst.
It could be, but to me, if like
That's
that
what
in
it
a
seems like. When
solid,
you look
like
at
in
it
a black
closer,
or in a
yeah.
cream, black or a cream, or even a solid blue would be way better. And I think
No,
that they actually make those in a couple other colorways.
I I I don't dislike it, and my eye was definitely drawn to it, but my eye, for whatever reason, just is that Christopher Ward. I would go as far as to say I'm in love with that watch because it is just beautiful. It is a beautiful watch.
Solid. I
But
think we got solid choices going on through all of this. That's a hot take from the spring bar.
yeah, so we'll have to
Do with that what you
we'll have
will.
to try to remember to pay attention to what the nominated watches are. Uh,
Wake me up when September ends.
okay. Oh, well, Joe, that was fun.
It was fun.
That was fun. Our opinions were different, but they weren't too far off.
Well, but I think that by this point in time, we know each other and we know our aesthetics well enough. I've seen your collection of watches. I've been to your home. You've seen my collection of watches. You've been to my wife's home.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Well, speaking of your wife's home, I noticed that your bar sign clock has been tucked off into the corner underneath the cat stairs behind you there.
yes, it's
Yeah.
been placed here because she says it goes better over there.
Does it? Okay.
Yes, I'm not going to argue that there are choices in my life, and that's one of them.
Yeah, okay.
So
Choosing your battle wisely.
yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I think that between you and I, we've got an idea of what our aesthetic is. We've argued about it enough that I've got a pretty good handle on what your choices would be and why, and you've got a pretty good idea of what my choices would be. It makes sense. I get it, and I don't disagree with your choices. I would choose differently, but that's also par for the course. So last call.
Yes.
As you know, and you have seen recently, right? Mike got this Pagani designed Royal Oak. Can we call it an homage?
It's oak-ish.
It's a chronograph Royal Oak shaped Pagani design watch. And that was Oliver's idea. And I bought into it. And so I contributed. So it's partially my fault. Mike, in his retaliation,
Again, Oliver.
was the instigator.
The day that the Pagani watch came, Oliver's like, we gotta do this to Joe. He was so into it.
Oh, I'm sure he was. And to be absolutely honest, like the watch that you chose for me is perfect. It is perfect. So in retaliation, Mike and I decided that we would get all over.
Hold on. Wait.
Huh.
You're Invicta. You took it to
Oh no. We'll get into that. We're
gonna get to that?
Yeah,
okay. I don't want to blow past that. I got a question.
No, we're not. Okay. So in retaliation, Mike and I decided that we would go out, and it was a question of trying to find something that might be offensive to Oliver given his status, and also really when you get into the fact that he collects Caravelle transistorized watches, it's like how far lower can you go? It's hard to get below that. So the Google the eBay search was sex watches, and
which was your idea, by the way.
It was absolutely my idea because it's perfect. It's perfect. And so we ended up getting for Oliver, right? The threshold was about $100.
Uh-huh.
And so like, my Invicta cost around that. Mike's Pagani cost also around that. Mm-hmm. And under that threshold, we've ended up finding Oliver 2 watches.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first one is
he has choices now.
He does have choices. He can
depending on his mood.
Depending on his Jesus Christ. So the first watch, it is called the Hard On. It is a Swiss made watch, and it says Hard On Swiss on the dial, and the hour markers are all different sex positions. The minute and hour hands are a lady and a man, and the man has a extra appendage.
Uh-huh.
And then the hour markers are also the different sections. And it's
What you're leaving out is the hour and minute hands. They're facing each other so that when they do eventually overlap.
yes, we have completed our mission.
Yes.
And it is a magnificent watch. It is a gold tone case. It is a one jeweled mechanical movement.
Ooh.
Spared no expense. And I don't believe it actually works. And he's going to have to go take it to our watchmaker and have it serviced. And I want to be there when that happens.
Is it a pin lever movement?
I don't think it's a pin lever but it's close.
It's serviceable.
It's close. It should be serviceable.
So wait a minute.
Okay.
You bought him a non-working watch?
No, it worked, but it doesn't work well.
Okay.
Needs a service. And then also, and this was the thing that was astounding me because I didn't open these beforehand. He has a new old stock Swatch Kamasutra watch. And so you have a picture from the Kamasutra on the dial. The strap features different variations and images from the Kamasutra and some things that may or may not be physically possible to actually achieve.
That one was my choice. I chose that one because I am surprised Swatch decided to do that.
It is. Here's the thing. It is an exceptional watch. It is excellent. It is really. I would absolutely wear that. And Oliver, in our discussion, he is considering buying another one so that he can keep this new old stock.
He can keep that one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had purchased these watches, and we did it shortly after this Invicta showed up. Like, I think it might have been that day or the day after. It was quick. Yeah. And we, like, buy it now, get it done. Watches came in.
We didn't get to hide under the guise of secrecy because he knew this was coming. This right. Had already been done twice. You guys did it to me. We did it to you. So he knew it was going to happen. But we kind of baited him into how we were going to give it to him.
Yes. So he ends up going to an OC Chrono event, and shout out to OC Chrono. And this is fantastic. And you can see it on my Instagram stories. Actually the venue that we were at is not far from where he works. And so he made it there before me. I had my watches, and then I had these two in box for him. And I brought the Invicta with me because it was going to be the debut. And so, show up, set my watches out, put the Invicta box down, and the Invicta box, it's bright yellow, and it immediately drew people like moths to the flame. And people came over and were looking at it. And a lot of those guys follow me on Instagram, and they'd seen it. It's like, oh, is that it? And you can hear in the dialogue, like, I'm trying to video Oliver opening these watches, but I'm talking with somebody else about this Invicta. Yeah. And so Oliver gets both of these watches, and he opens them in front of a group of watch collectors.
Yeah.
And this tells you a little bit more about the Invicta, that a Kamasutra Swatch, new old stock, and a Swiss-made hard-on watch were completely and utterly eclipsed by the Invicta. And the part that makes it worse is the fact that Oliver was there and filming, because I was walking around to everybody and I was like, okay, who's got on the most expensive watch? Great. AP chronograph, Royal Oak, solid gold. Mm-hmm. Here, hold this Invicta. Let's compare. And everyone who put that watch on is like,
how much joy did that watch bring to that meetup?
It was phenomenal. I have to bring it to the next one for the people that weren't there. and
the amount of people that wanted to try that on and take pictures of it.
And nobody I handed it to did not take their watch off and put it on. No one. Yeah. And this is where it gets better. So in September, there's going to be a watch time event at South Coast Plaza, which is where all the ADs are. And so it's going to be
that's where we went, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're going to have watches, they're going to have drinks, they're going to have canapes, and it's going to be a big deal. I'm wearing the Invicta. I'm going to walk into Vacheron Constantin and ask to try on the 222 in yellow gold, and I'm going to take my Invicta off and put it down to put
on the tray.
It's exactly what's going to happen, because the guy, as I'm walking around, they're like, "Are you going to watch time? You have to wear that." I'm like, "Oh my god, yes I do." I'm walking into Rolex wearing that. It's like, "Do you have a deep sea chrono?" Because I have a 3,300 feet water resistance. I'm absolutely, and we're going to do that. And it's going to be gold. It's going to be so much fun.
That's fantastic.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
See, you're having too much fun with that watch. That was not the
you
point.
got screwed up.
That was not the point of this.
You screwed up. You screwed up because that's the winner.
Everybody
Everybody saw that watch, and this is the thing that happened. Like they put it on, they're looking at it like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's like, but I don't hate it. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't hate it. And it's a Swiss movement. It's a Swiss watch. Yes, you can light insects on fire with it if you get the crystal just right and the refraction, but it's not like you screwed up. You screwed up.
I know.
I won.
I
won.
see that. Looking back, I see the errors of our ways. Oliver, I know Oliver listens. Oliver, we messed up.
You messed up.
Hate to say it. We actually bought him a good watch.
To the joy of all of our peers.
That's funny. But
that's our hot take.
In fairness, Oliver loves his watches. I like mine, you know.
Everybody wins. I think everybody wins. And it's
all in fun. If you don't do something like this, the hobby will get old. You have to have fun with it in different ways. You got to find different ways to have fun with your friends, to have fun with the watches, and doing something like that. Like the three of us, for how long did this whole thing last? 3 weeks?
Easily, yeah.
This was the best 3 weeks. We haven't stopped talking about it.
It's like great. It's but on top of that though, and I think that this is a part of, if you are a true enthusiast, you're not looking at watches as an investment piece. You're not looking at a brand as a particular reflection upon you as an individual. If you are genuinely interested in watches, then a gag gift watch of whatever is going to be 100, particularly one that is gifted to you. That Invicta is never leaving my collection. I will never sell it. I might even be buried in it. It's that kind of watch. Like if it stops working, I'm going to fix it. 100%, because that watch is staying in my collection. It's never leaving. Just because it represents to me the humor and the levity that we can all agree with, we can all enjoy. And if you've surrounded yourself with collectors that are that serious,
yeah,
you got to take a step back. It's just watches. So
yeah,
that's my last call.
That's a good one. We'll end it there.
How do we get in touch, Mike?
So this evening, Joe and myself, we make up the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram.
Hang on. You recognize you say this evening, and yet everybody sort of listens to this on Monday mornings. I'm just throwing that out there.
So this morning, whatever time of day it is in your local time zone, Joe and I, we make up the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us thespringbarpodcast@gmail.com. On a personal level, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one long word, 120 clicks. Joe?
I am Watch Taylor Youth, all one word, all spelled out, EUPH. That's me. Maybe about this time next year, we'll be at episode 100. We'll have some champagne. I don't know.
Until
no clue.
We reach 100 episodes, my glass is empty. Cheers.
Cheers.